I want to take a little bit of a different angle because I represent Scientology. And I know very well Ron Hubbard, who was the man who is, like, we have been listening to everybody who's been speaking here today, most of us who's been speaking, have been speaking about some wise man who came around somewhere in the world at some point of time. Sometimes it was Muhammad or Jesus or somebody else. And every time such a wise man came around, something happened, and that wise man put something new out and actually helped spirituality in one way or another. And if we look back in time, this happened quite many times. And now we still today have the essence of that having happened. We have the whatever they did or whatever they put out, which helped to bring about some kind of sanity or truthness, can we say, or some kind of spirituality, which then people living around, they picked up and it helped them. And I'm just going to take from the viewpoint of Ron Hubbard himself. When he was a little kid, he was very much looking around and he was very much aware of, well, what is this life for thing? And he had the chance to very much move around the life in the eastern part of the world, even though he was born in the western part of the world. And he saw very quickly how the big difference is that in the East, there is a very different viewpoint. You believe in life, you don't die, you lose your body, but you don't die. And you're always around. That's the truth, right? But in the West, where we're all part of here, well, people think life is just one time and you don't have to worry about the future. And if you are a big chemist and you are having a big formula you are creating, you don't have to care about the big catastrophe you maybe are causing because you'll be dying anyway. This can be the viewpoint of some of these Western thinkers we have here around. Anyway, the whole point here that I want to put out to you is that all the work that Ron Hubbard did in order to understand life, which he has put down in writing, in books, in lectures. It finds in thousands of words. They are all available for people who want to know more about life. All that you can bring out from it it's a way for you to get your own understanding of yourself. But the whole point is that when you do and when you travel that way, you are opening up for you being a source of life. And I can say that because I have my own experience, and it's actually a beautiful thing. You are yourself the source of life. And with that realization and with that awareness, when you get that, which you can get in a higher and higher degree, you are also gaining a fantastic understanding of what is all life about. With bringing up more and more people into a higher level of spirituality, I would say, this is the way that we can get a population on this planet to be in a higher level of also being willing to see what is around and what do we need to do to change the world, to be peaceful and to have much more tolerance. And I want to go down to what has been necessary to be done in order for us to have a future and still have this freedom and spirituality which we have in the current time where we are. Because if you start looking at it, when a new thing comes out, and I can now take the example of Scientology because I've been in Scientology most of my life. I have been experiencing that because you have a new idea and you come out with a spirituality that's a new thing, you are being attacked every day. You have the front page of the Ekstrabladet and you have the front page of whatever other newspaper going against you all the time. And if you really don't have found for you what is true for you, you would just go away and say, oh no, I don't want that, this is dangerous. But if you have gained your own understanding, you have no problem with this. You understand that those people who are attacking something that you have realized is the truth for you, and actually is spirituality, why would somebody attack that? That is not making any sense. And I can just very shortly mention that if you want to have an example of a religious group on this planet who have been attacked, it is Scientology. We have been attacked everywhere we've been. And we have been through all kinds of processes in order to survive. Today we survive very well because we have been going through all that whole process that we had to go through. But this is just an example of whoever you are. Now, I am representing Scientology, right? But I know it's also for other people around here who have their own experience. Whatever spirituality you represent, you are up against some vested interest. Now, in the case that I can speak from is that we have been looking into, well, who was those people who were attacking us using the press and everything? Well, it was very simple. He was a psychiatrist. And von Hubbard himself, when he was coming up with his understanding of the mind and how you can apply this knowledge and help mankind to help himself, he was even offering it to the American psychiatrists and psychologists. They were just saying, no, thank you, we don't need that. And since that time, they were actually trying to persuade him to give away his data, to give away all what he had found out from his research. But he didn't do that, of course. He was attacked himself and whatever. This is just a story. And what I want to point out here is that from all that opposition and looking into how it was organized to keep attacking us, we had to organize, and we did, already back in 1963, 69 it was, an organization that could concentrate on, okay, if we have to be up against this, that means it's not only us, it's actually all other religions too, because it was, and it is, it's the same situation. We need to do something to handle this. And what was created was an organization called the Citizens Commission of Human Rights. Maybe somebody here has heard about it before? Yeah, good. It's been a very strong organization since 1969. It exists all over the world, also here in Denmark. We have been doing a total investigation of what are those crimes committed by psychiatry on the people. Because anyone who doesn't like that people, they get spiritually aware and free from that. Well, if people, they go free in that way, they don't need medicine, they don't need all the drugs the psychiatrists are putting out, they don't need electroshock, they don't need all these kind of treatments which some other people or vested interests are earning millions and billions of dollars on producing every day. So that's what we are up against, basically, as a spirituality or as spiritual groups, like I'm speaking now from all of us. And from all the work that's been done from my colleagues in the Citizens Commission of Human Rights, we have really made an impact. And we are now at a point we are now in 2012, and for the last 10 years and more, there are many hundreds of psychiatrists who have been found and caught by the police for all the crimes they were committing against their patients. Either it was sexual abuse, or they were just falsely giving people drugs when they shouldn't have it and destroying them, or they were just enforcing electroshock and just totally damaging the minds of the people. All these kind of things they have been accused for and put in jail for. And I can give you an example, which is a very good example of how it all came about in a very big style. It was in Australia and New Zealand. Back in the 80s and the 90s, we were finding over there were some psychiatrists who were taking huge amounts of people and putting them into something called deep sleep. They were actually given some kind of deep sleep pills so they were not waking up again. And they could be sleeping for, I don't know, days and months or whatever. And we found out about this, and we were investigating it, and we actually found that people were dying from this. There were at least 48 cases that we could document that died from this deep sleep. And we, using all the data we found, and we were putting it onto the government, and this got forbidden, and the psychiatrist who was in charge of all this, he finally killed himself because he had to go to court and he couldn't confront that. But so then that was totally taken away. And it's just one example of how, if we don't go in and look at what is this and really take responsibility for it, we would have this kind of thing continue. And it's being done by those who are opposing us as the spiritual people, the psychiatrists and people like that. So we have been doing this all over the world, and we have created reforms in laws and in many other changes in the actual treatment system of psychiatry. We have created 150 reforms all over. And actually, I wanted to mention to you that when CCHR, like Citizens Commission of Human Rights, got created, it actually was created by the Church of Scientology together with one very dominant psychiatrist, Dr. Thomas Szasz, who was himself totally realizing what was happening in his own profession, and he wanted to go against it and reform it. So he's been working with us all the time since that started. I want to mention one thing here. I still have time, right? Good. Because I myself was very impressed by some of my colleagues when I saw the latest video that came out from Citizens Commission of Human Rights. And this is from all the work they did in Germany. I tell you, if we ever were attacked a place on this planet, it was in Germany. We were nearly killed for a few years ago. If I look back in the 90s, I myself was in Russia at that time. In Germany, you couldn't have a job if you were a Scientologist. You could hardly get a house if they found out that you were a Scientologist. You couldn't get your children into school because, well, the parents are Scientologists. It was so gruesome. And I tell you, it's that close to our present time. So, of course, we've been working a lot on getting out the true data on who we are, and we've been working a lot with other organizations to make all this happen. And we have been doing a lot, of course, to find out who is against us. And it's usually the same people, psychiatrists and other special interests. And those we have been revealing in Germany and going to court with them and so on. And this has been our way out of this. But what is fantastic is that coinciding, or you could say parallel with the church itself being attacked, the Citizens Commission of Human Rights in Germany, they were continuously for many, many years, actually for the last 30 years, they were investigating the conditions of psychiatry in Germany. Under National Socialism, also called Nazism, psychiatrists showed contempt for their fellow man. They lied to and deceived the patients in their care and their families. They forced them to be sterilized, arranged their deaths, and even performed killings themselves. They were also murdering physically and mentally disabled children in over 30 psychiatric and pediatric hospitals as part of what is usually called child euthanasia. End of quotation. So this was the leading psychiatrist himself admitting they have done that. I'm bringing this up because when we're talking about the role of spirituality in modern society, we can be as spiritual as we want. We can be as many doing the work to create spiritually open and aware people, which we have to do. This is very important. This is the very most important thing to do. But if we don't handle those who will try to kill us and damage our work all the time, well, this will just be unnecessary trouble. And if you look at it today, I'm just going to show you one thing, because there is a very international exhibition that Citizens Commission of Human Rights have been carrying around the world. It's called Psychiatry and Industry of Death. And that, of course, has caused a big effect. It has. Because it's open for the public, it's open for the politicians, it's open for the psychiatrists, it's open for the press, it's open for everybody. And it has created a lot of impact around the world in terms of confronting what is really the evil against spirituality, I would say. We definitely have a responsibility as being the spiritual people ourselves to inform about this and to warn people against this, because otherwise, I mean, I can just say, I know from experience that people who are taking this kind of pills, it damages their mind, their own ability to recall things in the mind goes away, and it damages the whole, what can you say, the whole, your own understanding of yourself and your own recollection of your life, what your experiences are. It gets totally destroyed from all these pills. It damages and it makes it totally blurry for you. So this is dangerous stuff.